This is what inflation has done to your money. $100 used to fill up your entire cart. Now, it barely covers a week of groceries. But what if I told you there's a way to make your money work like it's 2019 again, using strategies that most of us have yet to discover? Hello, this is Eugene. I'm a management consultant based in Boston. As someone who was born and raised in Korea, I started digging into different shopping strategies that I learned back home. What I discovered was fascinating. There are specific purchasing techniques that can cut your grocery impact by as much as 50%. The difference isn't just luck or currency. It's systematic approaches to food purchasing that works in any market. And the implications go far beyond just saving money. What I discovered analyzing both markets will change how you think about consumer behavior, cultural adaptation, and why some societies are more resilient to economic shocks than others. So today, I'm going to show you 3 things. First, why your grocery bill feels way worse than the government says inflation actually is. Second, 3 specific shopping strategies that can help cut your food bills by half. And third, why this matters beyond just saving money at the store. So the government says that the food prices have actually cooled down from 2022, but they're still 25% higher than what it was before the pandemic. The officials' number are missing something huge. A recent study by Edgar Dworsky's Consumer World found that 70% of packaged foods have shrunk in size while keeping the same prices. We're experiencing both price inflation and portion deflation simultaneously. Korean families spend about 13% of their income on food, while American families spend as high as 20%. The Korean government calls this value-conscious shopping, but I think there's way more to this than that. So Seoul National University, a top institution in the country, they found that Korean shoppers, myself included, spend 40% more time deciding what to buy, but they get 22% more value for their money. You might think, Eugene, we all understand the value of money. Well, in Korea, actually there's a social aspect to this as well. Being a smart shopper has a social status. For instance, my parents love to ask me, Eugene, guess how much I got this for? They will always laugh and say, nope, it was lower than that. People actually brag about finding good deals, and there's also some sort of a shame if you end up overpaying for something. So I dug into how Korean shopping actually works, and there are 3 key differences that make them better at handling inflation. First, we're trained to calculate unit prices. In Korea, stores have to show you the price per gram, milliliter, or whatever unit. And Korean shoppers actually use this information very well. They'll stand there doing mental math or holding up their cell phones to actually put in how much price each item is per unit. And growing up, I do remember in my math textbooks asking which type of eggs to buy, the dozen, half a dozen, based on the unit economics. So we're basically trained to do this from a very young age. Second, we spread our protein around. In Korean households, we get protein from everywhere. Eggs, tofu and beans, fish and meat. That's just how we eat. When I first moved to Berkeley for college, I was shocked that most people here rely so heavily on meat. Back home, meat was considered very pricey, so families just naturally shifted more towards fish or tofu that week. Eggs give you protein for about 5 cents per gram, while chicken breasts cost 12 cents per gram. Korean families are basically natural economists with their food choices. Third, we make one ingredient work over time. In Korean cooking, we squeeze the value of an ingredient to the very last essence. Yonsei University, another top institution, found that Korean families find 3.4 average uses for one ingredient. Like you can buy chicken, and my mom would make it into a soup, a stir fry, banchan, and probably 3 other dishes that I still can't make myself. Moving here, I realized most people buy chicken to make chicken. That's it. And if you've been to a Korean restaurant, you've probably heard of banchans. These are little side dishes that go with anything in a Korean cuisine. There's actually brilliant economics disguised as tradition. Fermented vegetables last forever. Add flavor to everything, and it means that you don't have to shop as often too. And my mom always had like 8 different banchans in the fridge going at once. So why do these habits stick in Korean families? It comes down to what psychologists call cultural memory. Basically, smart habits that get passed down even when times are good. Korea went from very poor to what it is now. My parents' generation lived through tough times, so they taught us to be smart with money even when things got better. It's like how your grandparents, who may have lived through depression, never threw anything away. And for Korean families, it was about maximizing every single one. And also the government takes a different approach. Korea has more centralized consumer protection system. The Korea Fair Trade Commission can impose fines up to 10% of a company's relevant sales for unfair practices. And US, given its states and local regulations, has multiple agencies handling different aspects, which can be not as consistent. It's not necessarily better or worse, it's just different approaches. And shopping is considered a team sport. Back home, families shop together. Neighbors share deals, and being a smart shopper actually makes you popular. When I first moved to the States, I felt a little surprised as to how solo grocery shopping felt. Maybe because I was living here alone, starting out as a student, and now mostly try to deliver my groceries. But in Korea, that's a common and a norm too. So Korean shoppers have these 3 advantages built into the culture: better information sharing, social support for smart shopping, and consolidated consumer protection laws. And another thing about market analysis reveals that Korean grocery stores are set up differently in ways that actually help shoppers. The US grocery market is quite consolidated, dominated by major chains like Walmart, Kroger, Amazon, Whole Foods. Korea has more fragmented retail, with traditional markets still competing aside modern chains like E-Mart, Lotte-Mart, and HomePlus. There's also coupon delivery, 로켓 배송, and one of my favorites, 마켓컬리. And more players in the market generally means better prices for consumers. The fact that Korea is geographically smaller helps too. Food travels 110 miles from farm to store versus 1,500 miles in the United States. Shorter trips means cheaper, fresher food. Geography matters. And Korea still has these amazing traditional markets called 재래시장, and the government's been supporting them for many years. Coming to the United States, I do miss that mix of old and modern shopping options. Also, Korean farms still focus on seasonal growing, which creates predictable price cycles. Here in the US, you get strawberries year-round, which is amazing, but you're paying premium prices most of the time. It has bigger implications. Countries with Korean-style shopping habits tend to have less volatile food prices. The OECD found that when people diversify their ingredients and pay special attentions to their unit prices, food inflation is 30% less volatile. These are better protection against price swings. The second implication is stronger food system. When people buy local, seasonal, diverse products, it creates stronger supply chains. Also, Korea spends 7.5% of its GDP on healthcare, while in the US, it's 17.6%. That's a little more than double. And diet quality is considered a major factor in this difference. Eating better costs less in the long run. So smarter shoppers means better deals for everyone. When consumers actually know what they're doing, companies can't get away with as much. Korean shoppers are so informed, and if there's any mishaps, it gets blasted out in the news, so that there's not a lot of pricing tricks happening here. So here's what's fascinating from a consulting perspective. We're all dealing with the same economic pressure, but we respond completely differently. In the United States, we adapt by accepting higher costs for convenience. In Korea, we adapt by optimizing our consumption patterns. Americans would say, fine, I'll pay more for the convenience. And Koreans would say, let me figure out how to beat the system. So Korean families, on average, are more resilient to price volatility, healthier, and more connected to their communities through food. Meanwhile, families in America could be more vulnerable to the next supply chain crisis or price manipulation schemes. So here's something for you at dinner parties. This isn't just about Korea being special. Many countries have these patterns. Japan, Germany, many parts of Europe, in fact. It's about having better information system, stronger regulations, and cultural support for smart shopping choices. So here's my ask to you. I invite you to stop accepting that groceries have to be that expensive. The tools exist. Unit price apps, seasonal eating guides so you know what fruits and vegetables are on season, and protein diversification strategies. The question isn't whether inflation is real. It is. It's more about whether you're going to let it beat you. Because while everyone is complaining about prices, you could be the person who figured out how to use your $100 feel like a $200. And in 5 years, when the next crisis hits, oh God, you'll be the one helping your friends instead of struggling along with them. So your move. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, questions, or thoughts about this video, please leave it in the comments below. And remember to come back to my next video topic on...
Let's go! It's time to be the GOAT! It's time to enter God mode, man, let's get it going! I wanna be the greatest, energy is overflowing. I know I'm stoking the fire, my desire's taking